artificial intelligence and robotics are evolving rapidly, outpacing laws, ethics, and public understanding. Their development is reshaping every aspect of life: governance, employment, peace, and our identities. But will humanity harness this power for good or allow it to divide and dominate? Well, the future isn't written, but we're on a knife's edge between unprecedented advancement and significant social disruption. The choices we make today about values, regulation, and inclusion will shape whether AI becomes humanity's greatest tool or its most formidable challenge. A lot of people think it will be the negative. A lot of people think it's positive. I'm one of those. Today we're joined by Jacob Stansfield from Rumble, one of New Zealand's leading digital advertising and digital marketing companies in New Zealand. So welcome, Jacob.
Thanks, Max.
Well, you got big boots to fill in here, brother, because I have enjoyed discussions because, who can answer this question? But the big question is, wait for this, and I guarantee every viewer out there is waiting. What's our world going to look like in 10 years?
Oh, well, that's a really, really scary question. I think, before jumping down a rabbit hole, the short answer is I don't know what it's going to look like in 10 years, but I think looking at, we're obviously talking about AI and robotics, which are all really, really exciting things. But yeah, I think it could kind of go down one of, multiple paths. In my opinion, I think looking at how the workforce is incorporating AI at the moment, it's really exciting because it's new and refreshing. But I think unless there is pins put in place or rules made, I think we could be in for a bit of a scary ride across multiple sectors.
And do you know what's interesting about you? And I've only learnt this about you recently. Is one, your job and your passion is AI, and it's not AI. It's electronic stuff and the medium for getting communications out. Now, and that's what your business does, and it really does it well. But I just learned that Jacob's really interested in humanity. He puts preferences in humanity into, preserving the good side of our lives and our planet, and those sort of things are really important to you. Would I be correct?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Which makes you an interesting mix, and I think examining this closely, I think that gives you a bit of a different perspective from mine, because I'm a little bit swaying the other side, and I just think our discussion could be quite interesting here.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. I think sometimes when it comes to AI, I really have to, wear multiple hats. As a business owner, I'm of the belief that at the moment AI is very much I don't want to go as far as to say like a tool that enables capitalism, but when you're a business owner and you have to make money, and that's kind of the point of running a business, right? AI is there to be like create efficiencies and sort of all of that sort of stuff. But then as a human being, you can kind of, I suppose, understand, wow, that's, looking 3 or 4 sort of steps ahead of that. You're like, that could put all these people out of work or, create a lot of holes in society. So yeah, it is very much one of those things where sometimes I look at it from like, hey, this is really exciting from a business perspective, but then also it's like, okay, what does that actually mean? Like long term.
And there's a whole lot of aspects that we need to examine on that, because look at relationships for a starter. Love and all that sort of stuff, which is necessary in everyone's life.
Yeah.
And what about shelter? What about, more importantly, income?
Yeah.
Where the government won't have a taxation rate if everybody becomes unemployed.
Yeah.
And look, let me ask you, don't you agree with me that you think most people will be unemployed very soon?
Yeah, I don't think it's very, very soon. I think, probably in the next 10 years, we'll definitely see a massive decline, especially with those larger companies, like a decline in the amount of people or resources that they need to actually deliver something. But then, I think me and you have talked quite at length before about, well, what does that actually mean? If you're a large company like Amazon or Facebook or Tesla or something like that, if you're currently cutting your workforce by 90%, there's all these people that are not going to have work. And I suppose if you're a business that's selling a product, what do you do then in that place where 80 or 90% of the population can't actually afford to buy your goods?
And do you know what I found fascinating recently was Donald Trump
Yeah.
and Elon Musk
Yeah.
going to battle. Not close friends,
Yeah.
then falling apart. And my view is Elon Musk is going to win this battle because his AI, and if you look at it closely, is starting to dominate the world, and so are 5 people who really have control of the major parts of AI.
Yeah.
Now, what happens to our politics if that all happens?
Well, I mean, yeah, I'm not going to dive into that, but yeah, I mean, it's pretty scary that.
Oh, it's terrifying.
I suppose the thought of like 5 or 6 massive companies really, starting to be the figureheads in terms of where, as a planet, we kind of go and how we navigate that. I mean, yeah, I think I can't remember where I read it, but there was something around, the world isn't no longer run by countries and stuff like that, but it is very much these 5 or 6 companies because they own so much of the IP that all these things are kind of running off that.
And we're only just beginning with AI.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think even you and I, we're sitting here pretending we're advanced more than anyone else, but we don't even know. But I think it's going to be quite terrifying in terms of that. Now, I'm thinking also that about logic and how that seems to be diminishing very quickly with some politics and things in our world, but also how AI relies on it with those algorithms and how logic is almost dominating. And I just saw a good play recently where an autonomous vehicle had to decide between wiping out a bike, and this would be real, a push bike with somebody on it, or have a head-on with 5 people.
Yeah.
And it chose the bike, which is good logic, but it got sued.
Yeah.
So, I mean, really, these are things we're going to have to deal with because...
That's so scary.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
Isn't it?
Yeah, because they're going to have to build that into these programs, right? And it's like, okay, well, we either kill 1 person or we kill 5 people, Like, I mean... That's the world in which we might live in.
And, well, the guy that built the software said, you shouldn't be interviewing me, you should be interviewing AI.
Yeah.
And do you know what? When I was in New York recently,
the
AI actually did a case in a proper criminal court, and they entertained it, and it actually delivered the case and actually got up and argued the questions, etc., etc.
Yeah.
Where are we going?
Yeah. What do you think of that, being a lawyer yourself?
Well, I'm not a lawyer, but I deal with employment law every day.
Yeah.
And I find it, well, actually, I'm quite pleased in a way because I think in logic. I think logic should dominate.
Yeah.
But also, I'll be out of work very soon. Very, very easily.
Yeah.
Because you already can get legal advice online by AI.
Yeah.
And it's got some errors, I've got to say, but it's getting better so quickly.
Yeah. I mean, I still think, I come from a film background, and so, there's obviously all this stuff now around, AI creating, AI films, or hey, you want to see your favorite actor in this type of movie, and so it'll just create the movie and all that sort of stuff, which I don't necessarily think is very good. I think that's a very sort of empty pursuit, but I can understand the economics of it, and I can also understand the public interest in it, but I still think, like, when you're talking about law, or when you're talking about art, like making films, or when you're talking about marketing, I think there is still the piece, I always come back to this word strategy, or EQ, or emotional intelligence, the actual, the sort of locus of ideas in terms of coming up with these things. You can be a great AI that runs law, but at the end of the day, you're not having an original thought. You can be an AI that creates a piece of art, but it's not an original thought. It's based off previous pieces of art that you might think is interesting, right?
That play I saw was quite interesting, and I actually read about this, and maybe you can guide us, but Emily, there's a thing called deep thinking that AI does, which is where it teaches itself how to think, teaches itself how to make decisions, and humans are not touching it. We're not part of that process, and that's what, in that play, it said the deep thinking is what made that decision, not me. So I wrote the algorithm, but then the deep thinking takes over, and that made that decision. Man, do you know what? I can write books now using AI as good as some of the best authors in the world.
Yeah.
So one of the top authors, I'm reading about him now, has given evidence to the Select Committee in the US saying, he's written 60 or 70 books, and he said, my career's finished.
Yeah.
Because AI can do what I do.
Yeah.
Is well, multiple times a day.
Yeah. But see, the thing is that about that, knowing that that's been then created by an AI, instantly it doesn't become a piece of work from someone. It just becomes an amalgamation of things that have come before.
Well, I wonder. Because even art, I mean, look at that thing behind you. That is really weird. But I mean, I don't know if it's AI, but I just bought it.
Yeah.
But what I'm thinking is that AI could easily create anything today, and as good as the Mona Lisa. It really is out there.
Yeah. Interesting.
Well, scary. So you haven't given us any answers yet.
Yeah.
But would you agree with my introduction that we're on the cusp now, making decisions or not?
Absolutely. I mean, I think that, there needs to be some decisions made. I think, like me and you've talked previously about, if, let's say we go whole hog with AI as a not even a country, but just as a planet, right? As a planet, if we fully embrace the beast that is AI, and we have robots in our homes, and we have autonomous self-driving cars that decide who lives and dies, killer robots, comes to mind. I think if we do decide that, I do think there needs to be like checks and balances put in place. Like I always come back to the whole argument around universal income. I think that's a really potentially might be something that will come a thing. I was talking to someone else the other day, and they said, you keep harping on about universal income, but the fact of the matter is we don't know what the world's going to look like. It might be that people are just paid to feed ideas into AI, and that's their job. They create stuff, they create games or pieces of, books or stories or things like that. And so that it's feeding all these ideas into this, this big sort of massive machine. But
I use ChatGPT, and I asked it the questions I'm asking you.
Yeah. And what did it say?
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? No, it said the same. Like, it was the one, I don't know if I sent it to you, but we're on the cusp. That introduction was written by AI.
Yeah.
So we are on the cusp, and it said it's quite frightening
in
some ways. But the other thing I read this morning, just this morning, because I get an update all the time on AI.
Yeah.
So every day. But this morning, ChatGPT has devised in their logarithm, they've written it in, that if anyone looks like they're getting close to mental health problems, because a lot of people are using it as their best friend.
Yeah,
and it can chat to you with good humour. I tell you what it can. And
what's your best friend's name?
Getting personal. But what I'm saying is, and some people confide and get it to make some life-changing decisions.
Yeah.
A friend of mine asked, should I move to Tauranga? And Chat came back and said, you'd get bored in 2 weeks, get out of here now.
Yeah.
I thought it was a good answer. But what I'm saying is rather frightening where we're heading right now. And I think the good thing with ChatGPT, it's looking at some ethics and building it in, so there's any hint of a mental health problem, it will alert the person saying, hey, maybe you ought to be really, enough's enough for getting it from us. Perhaps you should be thinking about this more deeply, and perhaps maybe you need some help.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I mean, I think that's a really good point to touch on, because, if you are one person and you're by yourself and you solely rely on AI to do all these things, be your friend, be the person that buys your groceries, be, the sort of the rebuttal of your sort of inner voice almost, then your life starts to look pretty insular, I suppose.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do a lot of cooking, so I even get it to help me with recipes. I get it to help me choose what meals I'm going to have this week.
Yeah.
It's getting weird. I mean, it really is. And then you get lazy, because you go, I can't be bothered making that decision. AI, can you help me? And that's what I've got to stop, because I've got a good creative mind, but it's a matter of maintaining it and keeping it going, because people revert to the easiest way, and that's human nature.
Yeah, and so you think about it, like I'm 36 now. obviously when I went to school, we had to, write our own essays, and, we were taught about things like emotional intelligence and critical thinking, which I think is a really important
Yes.
thing, right? And so you now need to look at, like, people that are like 10 to 20-year-olds, people that are going through high school and early university where their brains are forming. And if they're in school and they're getting AI to write papers for them, how are they then going to be able to develop their own opinions, their own critical thinking and all that sort of stuff? And so that when they get later down, when they're in their 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, that they're going to then be able to, have any kind of thought or opinions of their own,
Totally agree.
Yeah.
Because I've been writing stories.
Yeah.
And I write my story. So no, this is not what's happening, AI. This is how it goes. And it helps me.
Yeah.
But it really wants to go off on a tangent all the time. Oh, what about developing this stuff? And that's not the truth.
Yeah.
This is. So you can see how it's got its own creative thinking too.
Yeah.
That's deep, I think, deep thinking. And that worries me that their creative side can actually pick up what spins our wheels.
Yeah.
And then start going in that direction to try and enthrall us more.
Yeah.
But scary. But one thing I am heartened with is ChatGPT, I believe, is one of the world's leading in terms of people who are using it the most. True?
Yeah. I mean, I don't use it a lot. I use Gemini, which I think is Google's
I
vision.
think the average person will be heartened to know they're building some ethics into it.
Yeah.
Already that stops me. I put a photo up of Jake. Can you do a cartoon of him? That goes, no.
Yeah.
No. Because it's offensive to Jake.
Really?
It might be.
Yeah.
It might be.
Yeah.
And all sorts of things. I can't copy your stuff.
Yeah.
And it won't release my private information out.
Mm.
So it's got these ethics already built into it, but we're going to build some more.
Mm.
That's heartening.
Yeah. But then what happens when it starts building its own ethics?
Well, the other thing is the crooks out there are onto this.
Yeah.
And they're looking at AI that's not so ethically
Yeah.
run.
The black market AI.
You got it.
The bad cousin.
And I bet you they're going for it behind those scenes. What is it, the black web or something?
Yeah, the dark web, I think.
Oh, man, I guarantee it's happening behind those scenes now.
Yeah.
If you want to get up, you want to know how to rob that bank without even raising a finger, go, you get a good little old lady, won't even know what she's doing, but she'll be bringing back you a couple of $1,000,000.
Yeah. Black hat GPT.
We got
Something
the
like
starting of a good story here. But I actually think the world needs to wake up and go, hell, we need to do something now.
Yeah.
But I'm frightened that, and you will be too, I'm guessing, that people are going to say, well, stop AI completely.
Yeah.
And that's wrong.
No, I mean, the hat's out of the bag. I think where I kind of sit on it is, like, it's not going away and it's here, but I think as like business owners and just like citizens of the world, I think we just need to be aware of where it needs to be used and where not. And that's why I come back to, being a business owner. It's sort of like, okay, well, if I can quicken my processes and make more money, like that's a really good thing for my business. But I'm a really small business, right? And I can't imagine the pressure on me if I was the CEO of a massive company that employed, thousands or tens of thousands of people, where it's like, well, at a click of a button, I suddenly don't need these 5,000, 10,000 people. It's sort of like, it's kind of like the distribution of money or wealth, right? It's like that it needs to go, like these people need to go somewhere, And so it's about, if we are continuing down this path of AI, having honest and open discussions at every level, whether that be government, amongst your friends and your colleagues and things about, what can and needs to be done in terms of job creation and things like that. Because, if it just keeps going, that will just, shorten or tighten our sort of our pull in terms of businesses. Then logically the end result of that is just a whole lot of unemployed people, and it's sort of like if they don't have anywhere to go, it's like there needs to be a better answer.
I'm thinking about our government right now, which is right wing, and it's pro business.
Yeah.
So are they embracing it? Well, they're very slow if they are, because I don't think they're doing anything about it. But last night on the news, Erica Stanfield, no relation to yours, but she said with checking students' exam rates, it's going to be done by AI.
Yeah.
Fantastic, I think. But
awesome.
Of course, now their biggest fear also is the students who are using AI.
Yeah.
And look, I can tell you, I use AI to help me write a book.
Yeah.
So I go back to the book and asked afterwards, did any AI help in this job? And it went, no, none at all. It's done by a human.
Yeah.
Because it's my story.
Exactly. Yeah. So maybe it'll get to the point where they'll have to do, like things like interviews with kids or oral exams or stuff like that, so that it's not really just a sitting down and writing a paper like in class, right? So, because I mean, I suppose if you've been given research notes by AI, which you can't stop people doing, then it's up to the student to think about that, and then when they see the question, the exam, obviously, like, writing it down. But yeah, I mean, I'm sure there'll be stop gaps, but again, it just you come back to the AI marking. I think that's a fantastic idea. But again, it's like that's a whole bunch of people. It's like, okay, so what's their job going to be after that?
It's gone, burger.
Yeah.
It is frightening, and I think if there's one message I want people to get out of this, and that is, it's time to wake up. We need to take action now, but also we don't want to suppress it.
No. I mean, it's certainly made my job more interesting. I think, I mean, we do, obviously social content and email marketing and some website work and stuff. And I think I always use the example of, a lot of our work used to be like writing captions and things like that for social media posts. But when there became a lot more focus on video content, AI has really enabled us to, I suppose, keep a lot of costs down for our clients, because we can put more effort and time now into creating video content and less time into like things like writing captions and stuff, or research, and so part of our business or part of our process has become extremely more streamlined and faster, which then in turn has enabled us to spend more time on other things. And so I don't necessarily look at it like I used to charge someone $1,000 and I now only need to do an hour's work instead of I used to do 5 hours. It's like, okay, well, I'm charging a client $1,000, and historically I spent 5 hours doing this one thing and I wasn't able to spend enough time doing this other thing. So now, because that process is only an hour, I can spend more time doing this other thing that I don't feel is very good in terms of AI. So yeah, I mean, I think it's just redistributed our thinking or our processes in terms of how we deliver really good outcomes for our clients.
Well, I'll tell you what, I'm going to use Rumble because, I mean, you're using AI for the benefit of the client.
Yeah.
And you're not pocketing the extra dough, which I think is fantastic.
Yeah.
So that's Rumble. Is that how we find you?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Well, I think that's a brilliant idea. Now, the other, just quick question before we go.
Yeah.
There's something that comes to mind. I just watched something in Australia where a guy about AI, but he said, Australia's built to get a data centre.
Yeah.
Now, we're talking hectares and hectares of what do you call it, solar power, because it needs a lot of power, I believe.
Yeah.
But imagine if that happened in New Zealand.
Yeah.
We occupied 10,000 hectares of farmland or bushland.
Yeah.
We're destroying a good part of our little bloody paradise here, aren't we?
Yeah. I mean, we don't have a lot of paradise left, and so that would be a massive, I suppose.
What would AI's decision be? Do we do it or don't we?
Well, again, if AI's decision is to, comes back to that whole logic thing, right?
Yeah,
it's like, so in that decision, AI is deciding, do I extend my foothold in this country by building this data center, or do I not do that and thus shorten my grasp potentially? But it's probably better environmentally for the planet. I'm sure AI would probably decide in their own self-interest that the data center should be built.
Exactly. My own self-interest, and that's logic.
Yeah.
But again, it should take into consideration, like I went and asked ChatGPT about the question I'm asking you. It wasn't about self-interest. It balanced it up and saying this is really a critical time to make big decisions.
Yeah.
So I was pleased to see that.
Yeah. But you ask 2 or 3 people, right? And it's like, what's in the best self-interest of a person or not? Like, I mean, that's why we have democratic governments, right? Some people believe that we should do this thing, and some people believe we should do this thing. And so I suppose if you're AI and you're sitting in the middle of that, it's like they just really have that information available to them to make what's in the best interest. So would it then decide, okay, well, actually we're going to side with the current government because that, in terms of that is determinant on the popular vote of this country. So are we going to then side with that side of bias because 60% of this country's population agrees with that?
I tell you what, though, the good point this AI guru was like, he's right. Australia is built for it because they've got huge deserts.
Yeah,
and they can put all those solar systems out there. What we should do in New Zealand is start to use our brain, because we're known for our creative thinking.
Yeah.
and then use AI to actually, maybe even write software and things like that, but actually get an advancement in AI that way. And we're already there some ways with computer games and things that we're really quite well thought of in regards to that.
Yeah.
Hey, Jake, this is interesting. Should we keep going till midnight?
Yeah, we can keep going if you want to.
I think we should put a stop on it there. But look, folks, if you think this has been interesting, add some comments, because Jake and I will answer, won't you, Jake?
Yeah, sure.
And I reckon it will be an interesting discussion, because it's time that the world woke up. We're right on the cusp of a big decision.
Yeah. Thank you.